we're getting our Formula One predictions just in time for the start of the season. Welcome to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Sofia Miranda, joined by Christina, Rutherford, and Coxe. On February 18th, the F1 season will kick off with F1 75, where teams will reveal their 2025 season cars. But drivers have already been showing off their helmets. Christina, what have been some of your favorite designs so far?
I'm gonna keep it, I guess, classic maybe, because
Sure.
For me it's Lando and Charles, even though their helmets aren't really different from the year before. But Lando, the blobs are back. They're different blobs, so it is different.
Okay.
But the blobs are back, and I just think this helmet's very Lando. It matches his personality, and I just like that he's sticking to what works for him, and I like it. And then for Charles, his helmet's basically just the Monaco flag, which is also very Charles, because he's like, I am Monegascan, do not call that man French. He will get upset. But also, and then talking about, he always has Papa and Jules on his helmet to memorialize them, and I just think that's sweet, and it's a nice helmet. It's always a good tribute.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I definitely do like Charles's too, because especially with Lando, he keeps it simple, keeps the blobs. We do know that there's some tracks hidden on there from some of his past wins. Can't find them right now, but we know they're in there. And the same thing with the commemoration of Papa and Jules on Charles. But two of my favorites, I really like Max's right now. He has a classic design. It's very similar kind of to some of Red Bull's classic helmets and their liveries. It throws it back a little bit, and he said it touches upon his father's Jos Verstappen's old helmets when he used to race, as well as some of his old karting days helmets. So it's really that classic design that he feels could help him go karting this year. And then also as well as Carlos Sainz's helmet. This year, obviously, he's at Williams, so we got the blue instead of the red, but he decided to keep the 55 and the Spanish flag. As you can see, it kind of moves along the helmet a bit more, kind of showing the movement forward through a different era. And although you can't see it very well, we still got the chili, and we still got the star on the back. So it kind of keeps his classic helmet design just in a different era of his time in this race world.
Yeah, that chili is supposedly on the top in the very back, but I haven't seen it in any photos.
No,
so
kind of blends in.
That. However, I don't really like the red, the yellow, and the blue. It's just, it's a lot, and I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. Some other drivers got a lot more with their helmets, so yeah, there's some interesting ones. I like Valtteri Bottas's. He just came out with his earlier today. Really like his design.
Liam's got a bright pink one, too.
There's some really nice ones this year, so hopefully we'll see some more colors out on the track.
Definitely, yeah. And along with new cars and helmets, we had also some changes like on the grid. So only two teams, McLaren and Aston Martin, kept their duos. So let's start with you, Cindy. How do you think these changes and the dynamics of the drivers will change and play in throughout the season?
So I think this year is a huge year for driver dynamics and changes. I think obviously one of the biggest changes we've had this year that everybody's been talking about, Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. Obviously him leaving Mercedes, somewhere that he's been for the past 12 years, won 6 championships with them. People question if he was ever going to leave this team. Obviously last year when he announced it, everybody was kind of shocked. And with him moving to Ferrari, there's a lot of questions on how this dynamic with Charles Leclerc and with Principal Fred Vasseur is going to work. So with him at this team, he's obviously vying to reclaim that 8th title. But you also have Charles Leclerc, who's fighting to try to get that first. And he's been Ferrari's golden boy since he came in 2019. So you're going to have Charles go in for that title and Lewis Hamilton. So is that going to put a stress on that dynamic at that team? And that also kind of puts a little bit of a stressor on some other teams as well. So
yeah, speaking of Ferrari, they also have Zhou as their reserve driver, which happy for him.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Speaking of other reserve drivers, Valtteri, he has a helmet, but he is not racing. He's Mercedes reserve driver. And speaking of Mercedes, they've got Kimi Antonelli replacing Lewis Hamilton, 18 years old, just got his driver's license
so
the
happy
other
for
day.
him.
So he can now drive an F1 car and a road car. And I think that'll be an interesting dynamic because George is no longer the younger driver. He's now the older one, having to support the younger driver.
Yes. Especially coming off of Lewis and that dynamic, it's a really interesting way that he's going to have to step up and show what he's really able to do in that older position. And then especially with Lewis moving out of Mercedes there, that pushed Carlos Sainz out of position at Ferrari. And where did he go? He went to Williams. So now at Williams, you have 2 senior drivers. You have Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. So again, I feel like that puts a very similar position as Ferrari, where you have two drivers who kind of want to fight for those wins and those poles and those positions. So if it comes down to it, who are they going to give the seniority and the ability to put in front of each other? Because obviously you have the one who decided to come here, and you have Alex, who's kind of been struggling in the past couple of years.
Yeah, but be realistic. In a Williams, fighting for poles and wins, that's not going to happen. More like fighting for points.
Yeah.
But also at the bottom of the grid, you've got Haas with Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman. Esteban Ocon doesn't necessarily have the best reputation with being friends with his teammate. Esteban Ocon, if you hurt Ollie Behrman, I will be personally upset. But with Esteban Ocon, he does have the first female race engineer, Laura Mueller. So anything that happens wrong in Esteban's race is Esteban's fault, not his race engineer's. She is perfect and can do no wrong.
Yeah, and let's also touch on his teammate now, Ollie Behrman, a rookie who stepped in last year in Ferrari and Haas races. So he's no stranger to being in these F1 cars, but he's not the only rookie. This year we have 5 rookies stepping in. You can argue that Liam Lawson is a 6th, but he's no stranger to being in an F1 car when he stepped in for Daniel Ricciardo. So I'm going to step him aside for a second. We have 5 rookies stepping in, but that also has the rookie up in Red Bull. So in Red Bull now, we have this whole junior dynamic. So you have the Isaac Hadjar over in V-Carb. Well, with him, you have Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda was looking at that spot over in Red Bull. And now who's there? Liam Lawson.
Yeah, and those are 2 very hot-headed people who both learned their English from the French, which can lead to some interesting language, which will also, I'm sure, take part. But we've got Blonde Bull. We've got both of the drivers being blonde, and we'll see how they work out. I've been seeing some people going, it's big brother and younger brother when looking at the photos. So I think that could be a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, overall, I think there's going to be a lot of different dynamics going on this year. I think we're going to see a lot of fighting on and possibly off the track as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to see some unexpected points, positions, and winners this year.
Hopefully.
And I really hope that we get to see some mix-ups of the grid.
No, that's amazing. I mean, as you guys said, so many changes, so many switches, and obviously different dynamics. I'm really excited to see Lewis in Ferrari. I feel like he always talked about when he was younger wanting to be in Ferrari, but obviously I feel like it was expected, but at the same time, wasn't it at all that it was going to go out in Mercedes? But let's talk about the important thing right now. Drivers and Constructors Championship. That's the thing that we're looking for always. So let's start with you, Christina. What are your early predictions?
Yeah, well, for me and Sydney, I think you can agree with me here. The Constructors is most likely going to be McLaren, and if it's not, McLaren fumbled the bag right there. They're making a mistake if that happens. They were not doing so well, like 2023 and stuff, and then they came through 2024, and supposedly they've got a really good car. They've got 2 strong drivers who have multiple wins from 2024 season. I think it's in the bag for them to get the championship this year, but we'll have to see, because with Ferrari and Red Bull, maybe there's a fight, but we never know.
I completely agree. I think McLaren's going to come out, and I think that they're going to take this. I think that there will be a fight. But I think if we look back in past years, there has been a cyclical trend to all the Constructors' Championship, whether it was Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes. They've had their year-long stretches, and now it looks like we might be going in the way of McLaren. You have your other competitors who are kind of in their rebuild years. They're kind of in their time, so they're trying to get their team structured and together. But like we said, we have a strong pairing, and they're building a car that seems to be really supportive of them. So I think that they're going to take it again for their win.
Yeah. Now, where we differ is when it comes to the Drivers' Championship. While a very diehard Lando fan, I think it's Charles' year, finally. We say this every year, I know, but this could finally be our year. He finally got his Monaco win. The Monaco curse is gone. Maybe it's finally time for him to get his Constructors' Drivers' Championship, but maybe we'll see. I think it should be a battle with Max, though. So while you have Max winning, I think Charles will win. But it should be a battle with Max because there are rumors of Max retiring, and I think we need another Charles and Max fight, but this time with Charles winning. They've been fighting since their karting years. Who wouldn't want to see that?
No, I agree. I do think Max will probably go and hopefully try to take his 5th championship this year, putting him up there with Vettel and Hamilton and Schumacher. But I don't think it's going to be easy for him. I think his top competitor, I think it's going to be Lando this year because he's going to have that McLaren car backing him, and I think that they're really trying to suit those cars to make him. I do think as long as Red Bull puts a car up there with him that is suited to it, maybe not necessarily suited to the whole team, so up there with Lawson, but But I think as long as he has a car behind him, he's going to try to get that fit. He's aggressive. We've seen it on and off track. But I'm not going to lie. I think Leclerc is going to give him a fight. I love Leclerc. He's one of my favorite drivers. I think he's been consistent. I think he's gotten better and better each year, especially with last year with his wins in Monza, Monaco when he finally got it, and especially in like Austin as well. We've seen him perform and perform. In the past couple of years, I think he's finally gotten that push. That he wants it, and I think he's finally going to try to get it. It just is up to Ferrari to give him the car that he needs.
No, definitely. I definitely agree. Do you want to continue with a little bit?
I mean, when you say with Max, that could be his last championship. He might retire. We don't know. There are rumors. He's having a kid, having a dog. He said he would only do that when he retires. But I guess we'll have to wait and see who will actually win this driver's championship.
No, definitely. There's a lot. I mean, Tom Brady retired. He came back. So I wouldn't doubt it. Well, with the F1 season just around the corner, I can't wait to see how the season unfolds and if our predictions come true. For Christina, Rutherford, and Sydney Coxe, I'm Sofia Miranda. Thanks for watching Penn State Sports Night. Lights out, and away we go.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this and so much more, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. For everyone here at Penn State Sports Night,
We are
Penn State Sports Night.